Hello, riders! So glad to see you this evening on the Horse Talk. Yes, and the topic for this live is control versus connection. Because recently I watched Brene Brown's, I think it's a HBO series called Atlas of the Heart. And she is a professor and thought leader of emotions. And she had some very, very good points in, how certain things makes us feel. And she said that after been studying this for several decades, she said control is the opposite of connection. So we can't really have control and connection at the same time. And as a horse trainer watching this, I was just taking notes, and like this, of course, applies to horses too. So let me know in the comments below if you have seen Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, or if you want to see it, because I can point you to where to watch it. It was mind blowing. She's such an amazing lady, and she is so smart, and she has so many great tips that applies not only to horse training, but life in general and relationships. Yes, because the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our relationship. And of course, this of course also applies to horses, right? But since generally speaking, the majority of horse training today is based on controlling horses. I think we, as horse owners and horse trainers, we lose out on a whole lot of connection with the horses. If it's like Brene Brown says, we can't have control and connection at the same time. We have to choose either or. But if we give up on control, is it then safe to even ride and handle horses? 1,000-pound animal going bananas when out of control. And let me tell you, I have found the exact opposite to be true. Because before I tapped into a method of connecting with horses and giving them choices, it was quite dangerous to ride because, you were kind of needing to stay on top of the situation and manage the horse. But once we teach horses to manage themselves and be self-controlling, they are much, much more safer to ride. And we can't really teach them self-control by controlling them, right? So let me know in the comments below if you agree and if this makes sense, and maybe have even tried this with your horse. And this is definitely something that my mare taught me, because the more difficult she became, the more I controlled her, which made her feel even more anxious and more uncomfortable and made her more and more unruly. But by giving up control and tapping into connection with her, I was able to ride her without reins a few months later. So she completely changed because I completely changed in my approach to her. So instead of controlling her, I was starting to giving her choices and, doing stuff of body language and feel, and not of mindset of control. And there's another thing that is also quite important, and that's we can't really get a horse to say yes to something if they haven't had a choice. So with this control mindset and the control method, which is the most common way of handling horses, they don't really have a choice. But once we start giving them choices, they can actually say yes to something and learn it in a much deeper way. And we are just, telling them what to do and what not to do at all times. And some of you might have done the grazing exercise. Yes, which teaches horses to not graze when ridden and led. Yes, let me know in the comments if you've done the grazing exercise. And that's definitely, it's giving the horse a choice, but we are giving a strategic choice. So the horse gets to choose if they want to eat grass or not. But we chooses what the horse does when they eat grass, right? Which makes them then associate the grass with more work and associate not grazing with less work. But we cannot teach a horse not to graze by simply controlling them and making sure they are never grazing, right? So this is also with the handling of the horses, and I see this a lot. Like, we can't really lead a horse of feel and body language and connection by controlling them. So if our hands are up here while we're leading the horse, the connection is lost. I and then we are not going to be able to bring that connection up into the saddle because there's no connection on the ground, right? So some of you might have seen our latest blog, which you can find on ridelikeaviking.com/blog, which is called Riding and Leading for Connection and Softness. And if you see the way we are then starting the riding lesson with the leading, it's definitely not the way you are supposed to lead a horse when you are going to a riding school. So if someone who was a riding teacher at the regular riding school would have seen this leading, she would have said, make sure to control the horse. Hold your hands a bit closer to the head of the horse there because horses can spook. So by us kind of putting our hands closer to their head is going to, in some kind of a mystical way, make them feel relaxed and not spook. Is utterly strange. But anyhow, by leading through connection, we can also actually check out if the horse is truly comfortable or not. Because we can hide a whole lot of stuff underneath our short reins and short lead rope. But if the horse is following us on a loose lead, we can't really hide so much stuff. The horse will show how they feel on the outside because they are free to move and kind of free to not follow. If you follow me, it would be nice to know if this makes sense. So that's at least what I have found over the years, and I am educated as a horse trainer, and I'm also educated as a riding instructor, and I've been riding horses for decades, tamed hundreds of them. I was working as horse trainer, doing nothing else for 7 years. Like, I had lots of experience, but it was by going to Mongolia and participating in the world's most exhausting horse race on semi-wild horses that made me realize this. So it's completely possible to have a career with horses and win competitions and succeed with training horses without realizing that control is the opposite of connection, and that there's another way than controlling horses to train them, which is actually more beneficial and more effective in many, many ways, because it's going to make the horse feel good and therefore move well and behave well from self, as opposed to us making sure they behave well and move functionally by kind of controlling them. Yeah, just imagine if you were a horse, you would, completely realize from, just spending a few moments with a rider, if that rider had an intention of connecting with you and giving you choices, than if the rider had an intention of controlling you. I think horses, they sense this from the minute we pick up on the lead rope. They just know. But we as humans have a tendency to not really notice because it's so natural for us. Okay, and this is what our next masterclass is all about, because About 3 times a year, I hold a free masterclass that you can now join, because the masterclass is next Wednesday and it's live, and we're going to go deeper into this topic of liberty and how you can get started with your horse. And you're also going to get some practical things that you can actually try out with your horse to get started. And this is stuff that you will not learn in regular weekend clinics or on riding schools. On the contrary, so you can, yeah, at least learn it next Wednesday. And if you want to secure your spot, there are only 500 seats for this live event, and we are already filling up. So make sure to secure your spot on ridelikeaviking.no/masterclass. I will share the link below. And also, if you secure your spot, make sure to show up early, because if more than 500 people, reserve their spot for the masterclass, the ones who come first will actually get to join, while those who come later will be excluded. So it doesn't matter so much when you sign up, but definitely sign up now. But make sure to come early, and you will get horse training tips that has totally transformed my relationship with horses, and that are not based on controlling horses, and that has also made a huge difference for hundreds of horse owners and horse trainers over the years. So after going to Mongolia and discovering that control wasn't the answer to truly succeed with horses, I started then testing out different ways of doing this with different types of horses, which now is a program that you are going to get the essence of on Wednesday. So I hope to see you there, and thank you so much for joining this evening, and I'll see you on the masterclass next Wednesday. Okay,